One thing if you're on vacay.
Test. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, let's try that again. Good afternoon. There we go. That's a little better. A little better. Well, I appreciate everybody coming out today. We got a very nice crowd. Just go over some current events. I wasn't here 2 weeks ago. Tiffany McCampbell and I got the pleasure of going down to RMAC meetings. And then on that Tuesday, I got a wonderful sinus cold and have been sick since. I've lost about 15 pounds, but don't worry, I'll find that someplace. It'll come back, so don't get too worked up about that. Today at 11 o'clock, I believe the volleyball all-conference awards were announced on the RMAC website, and our freshman outside hitter Dana Thompson was second team all RMAC, and we had sophomore libero Tana Dahlberg was honorable mention. So that's a really good thing for our volleyball players. Coming up, we've got, in case you don't know, hoops has started. So Friday night is our home opener. Men's basketball is playing Texas A&M Kingsville. And then on Saturday, just in case you didn't have anything to do, we've got your weekend planned for you. On Saturday at 1 o'clock is our senior day for football. I encourage you to all come out and celebrate these young men, these special guys who made it through South Dakota School of Mines, who get an exceptional degree, and who have really laid the groundwork for future success. And then on Saturday evening, we have 6 o'clock, we have men's basketball versus Texas A&M International. So if you don't have anything to do, you do now, because you've got basketball and we've got football, and we expect to see you all there. So starting us off, we got a full sled of speakers today. We're going to talk, Wyatt Engel is going to talk about esports and the esports convention that took place this weekend. Come on up, Wyatt.
Hi, how's it going? So we had the first Grubby Games esports convention this past Saturday, where South Dakota State, Dakota State, and Black Hills State traveled out to compete in the first League of Legends state championship. We took down Black Hills State to advance to the finals, but did lose to SDSU in a 3-1 in a best-of-5 series. We actually took match 1 against SDSU, which marked the first time we've ever taken a match off of that team. So that was a step in the right direction, but they did take us down to claim the first ever state championship. But it was still a lot of fun to put it together. I've been working with these schools for the past few years, and being able to travel them out to Rapid City was really awesome. So aside from the state championship, we had around 80 attendees compete in various other tournaments that we put on, and roughly around 120 in attendance throughout the whole convention. So it was pretty successful, and I'd say a step in the right direction for our esports program, and just building up the competitive nature of esports in the state. Last night we played our last preseason match against Carleton University in Minnesota, and we fell to them 2-0, but they were also a really competitive team. So now we're in our off season until our season starts up January 15th. So we'll continue to practice and improve and continue to scrimmage other schools. So that's pretty much what we've got going on. Any questions?
Talk a little bit about the convention that took place Saturday and how many people showed up and what the point of it was for everybody.
Sure. So the point of this convention is to start building our esports community on our campus and kind of introduce esports to Rapid City. So we tried to reach out to some high schools, reach out to all the community and invite them and show them what we're doing. we also wanted to hold this first state championship for League of Legends, kind of just to set a precedent for what we want to see, or how we want to see esports moving forward. This time around, it was a state championship for League of Legends, but I think we'll also incorporate other state championships for other games as we adopt to varsity teams, such as like Overwatch, Rocket League. We'll kind of see where our program moves. We also had, the convention was also a fundraiser for children's hospitals, so that was another positive thing that we're doing, and I think we had an article in Coded News over the weekend, so if you guys want to go check that out on their website. I think that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Is there any questions?
How many students participate, and how do you pick the players for each game?
Okay, so on our League of Legends team, we have 8 players, and I selected those from a tryout that we held the second Saturday of the semester. So I think we had around 40 students come out for that tryout, and then I just handpicked the 8 best players in my eyes. And so we have our varsity team, but we also have 3 club teams. So I can, if I see some talent at the club level, I can move them up to the varsity level, depending on what's going on at that certain moment. But there's other games that have different amounts of players, so I'm thinking we might expand to Rocket League this coming fall, and those are teams of 3. So we'll have to see. We have a whole lot of competitive teams at the club level that are already competing against other teams that do receive scholarships. So. All right. Any other questions?
You said it was South Dakota State Championship, and then was there other regions represented as well, or other states, local states over here?
No, we tried to focus on South Dakota this time around. I think we might try to incorporate other schools because we had a tournament last fall where we had Wyoming involved, North Dakota State involved, Montana involved. So we might try to expand, but this time around, it was our first go at this convention, so we wanted to try to keep it as contained as possible. And also there was 4 teams, and it started at 3 p.m. and didn't end until 1 a.m. So if we did have any more teams, we probably would have been up all night. So, cool. All right, thank you.
All right, our next speaker has a tendency to get long-winded. And I'm going to leave it up to Coach Tinker to give him the axe when it's time to give him the axe. I don't want to have to tackle him up here in front of anybody or stand back. We've only played 2 scrimmages, Coach. So let's bring Coach Larsen up here and have him chat about our women's basketball team.
One of my favorite movies, Joel, Scent of Woman. No, you can't shut me up. I got a lot to talk about. Hey, congrats to the fall sports for wrapping up. Steve, great season. Really enjoy what you're doing with the cross-country programs. Coach Conniff, really improving, like what you're doing, obviously, with the men's soccer team. Coach Torby, hey, I see what you're going through. I know what you're building, and I know we have the right person there for the job for sure. And football, we're not done with you yet. We got 1 more week with you before I tell my congrats to you guys. You've been a pleasure to watch all year. Wyatt, I know what it's like to go up against a couple Division I teams. That's tough, really tough. It was a good trip for us. I was pleased with the weekend. Thursday night at Colorado State. That game, again, we had a really good idea of what they were going to run. You know, a lot of new personnel for them, which boy, they're good. They're good. They're pick 6 in the Mountain West. Yeah, I don't see them as a 6th place team by any means. We let one young lady get loose on us really, really well. She ended up with 28 points. This kid was one of the better shooters I've ever seen. She made 143 threes in 1 season at Stewart Community College. I have never heard of a number like that in all my years. You know, I coached Bo, maybe made that in a new ball season, but that is incredible numbers. I've heard like 115, something like that. maybe stretch it to 120, but 143 threes in one season is incredible. And that was a big part of our scout. I would like to say a month from now, where she made 6 threes against us, a month from now, we would be able to guard her a little bit better. That's just getting better defensively. That's learning a scouting report better. Her first 3 threes, one was in conversion defense. We left her wide open. You can't do that with a kid that shoots that well. It was kind of a pig 3 for her. We had a bad closeout. She stood about 24 feet. We closed out to about 23 feet, hands down, and she just kind of looked at our defender and went, really? You're gonna let me shoot this? Knocked it down. Then we had a couple of bad switches where we didn't have active hands, didn't cover up real well, and that got her going. But yeah, she was 6 of 8 from the arc, ended up 28 points, a really, really good player. We let one of the other better players, who's a really talented player, 6-foot guard, really athletic, scores at all 3 levels. You know, that's kind of a player at that level where you're just, you're gonna do your best to guard her, and she made some plays that we just weren't going to guard. She was a really terrific player, but the kid that really shoots it, we got to do a better job of guarding her. Again, I'd like to think a couple weeks from now when we're more in tune with how we want to guard personnel and listening to the scouting reports and stuff like that, we would guard her a little bit better. But it was a good game. Taylor Molstead played fantastic. She had her first 8 points. She was really, really good. It was actually 8-4 Taylor Molstead versus the Rams in the first quarter. And she came out and played really, really well and had a good weekend all around. I was very impressed with Taylor. Taylor is playing the way you want your senior leader to be playing. It's not just in games. She is bringing practice every single day, leading out the rest of our young ladies as far as just really competing in practice and knowing how you get better. So I was really impressed with Taylor over the weekend. Really good game for her. A lot of nice compliments on Taylor from both coaching staffs. But again, back to Thursday's game, I was really pleased with the way we played. One of the two biggest things I look for in these exhibition games is, one, you know, do we compete and really get after it, or are we kind of starstruck a little bit with the bigger gym, you know, the big old video board, the Division I hoopla stuff, and we didn't have that either game. And I was really pleased with that. And then 2, you know, can we execute our stuff against bigger, stronger athletes? Can we execute our offensive scheme, defensive scheme? And against Colorado State, I really felt that we did. We had some really bright moments offensively, and we just weren't sustaining it. You know, we'd have good possessions, 2-3 good possessions in a row, and then as good as those were, we kind of fell off a little bit and didn't run good stuff and didn't really get a good shot. But there again, that's why you play those games. That's why you practice. It's early for us, so we can get better there. But again, we're really pleased with the way we competed and ran our stuff Thursday in Fort Collins. Again, a lot of compliments of what we did, a lot of compliments of the way our kids competed. Fun experience. And again, when we got 2 Fort Collins kids on our roster, then a handful of other kids from Colorado. Those kids to play in their hometown, in their home state, a stage like Colorado State, really fun experience. It was a good time had by all. Friday night, Northern Colorado. You know, I don't have much to say about that. I really don't. You know, as well as we played Thursday, we just didn't have the juice. You know, we just didn't have the focus that we did the night before. You know, and you can't have that when you play a really good team. Northern Colorado, I give them all the credit. You know, they came out, played extremely physical, extremely fast. Their flame was just that much higher than ours that game, and that's a good learning lesson for us. Okay, that's one thing we've talked about all year. We got a lot of kids back. Okay, we got some expectations from the year previous, stuff like that. But you know, you have to be able to control your energy level. You have to be able to control how you're executing offensively and defensively. And that's one thing we just didn't do Friday night, and it definitely showed. We scored 1 basket. Yeah, that's what we had. 1 basket in the first quarter. You know, you can laugh because it is kind of funny. 1 basket in the first quarter, you're just not running your stuff well enough. And that was the bottom line right there. We did not execute nearly well enough the way you have to against a really good team. You know, Northern Colorado, they're the defending Big Sky champs. They played the national tournament last year, and you know, even though they lost quite a few players from last year's team, they still play with a championship DNA. Okay, And that's where I give them the credit. They came out and got a bit of a chip on their shoulder, a lot of things to prove. I think they think that they're being undervalued a little bit and looked over, and they came out and really wanted to take it to us, and they certainly did. But other than the first and third quarters, you know, we did play with them in the second and fourth. I think it was 17-16 as far, you know, total points in the second quarter, and then it was 15 all in the fourth. You know, so other than the first and third quarters, we did play pretty darn well. And good experience though, good experience. That's kind of what we say. Hey, we played back to back in the RMAC. You better bring it every single night with your juice level and with your focus. This juice level that Coach Tinker keeps talking about, this is a real thing. Okay, this is real. Okay. I give credit to Coach Tinker because he takes it to a new level, you know, juiceful and useful. You're juiceless, you're useless. You know, bring all the juice, that type of stuff. He brings it to a totally different level. But not to steal his thunder, but every coach in America talks about your energy level and your juice, okay? And that's where we got to get better. We just have to get better there. We have to control our energy level. We have to control our focus. It's not just in games, we have to do it every day in practice. And for us to get to the level where we want to be, where we think we can be, that's what we got to do, all right? We have to do it every single day in practice where it becomes basically a habit for us in games. I'm very impressed with this team this year thus far as practicing hard, paying attention to detail. But we do still have some ups and downs in practices. So really, really good moments, then we're kind of flat, okay? That carries over to games. It certainly does. You have to be full attentive, full focus, and fully juiceful for 40 minutes of basketball. And that's our next step. For us to get where we want to be, where we kind of think we can be, all right, with this year's team, we have to master that. One thing I keep telling our kids in practice, stay focused, stay focused. I read a couple of things this summer where, hey, go for a walk for 20 minutes and focus on one thing for 20 minutes. Don't let your mind wander, okay? Stay focused. Do you know how hard that is? It's really hard. Now think if you're 18 to 22-year-old, practice in the morning, all right? Can you stay focused for an hour and 45 minutes? Well, we got to get there. We have to get there. That is one of our big challenges, okay? Staying energetic. Can you create your own energy for an hour and 45 minutes? We have to get there for where we think we can go. So that is our next step. I think we're pretty talented. I really like what we're running, offensively, defensively. We're definitely getting better from when we started practice. Those two exhibition games were very, very good for us to learn those lessons. The other thing I like about those games is they expose you to the things that coaches have been harping at for 14 practices. And we definitely got exposed there where we can see it on film now. Okay, hey, whoever, I told you about this 2 days in a row now, you got to get better here. Okay, it's on competition, I know I got to get better at it. So it was a good trip, really good trip. Pleased with the way we competed, pretty pleased with the way we executed Thursday. We got to get better on the outcome that we had Friday, but I'm excited about this team, the way we showed out last weekend. We got this week to practice, we got all of next week to practice, and we got two really good teams coming in to Goodell Gym on Bart Felderman floor to open up our season, and we're really looking forward to it. I covered a lot there, Joel, didn't I? You did. Little sidetrack. Juiceful, useful, staying focused. I should practice what I preach when I'm up here about staying focused, right? I'm getting better there too. Any questions for me? Covered it all. Coach Tinker?
Yeah, with Ryan, with as many backs and stuff, what's the target number of women that you have to have ready to play in your rotation, and what does that kind of look like?
Could you repeat the first part? I can.
Just with playing back-to-back games and stuff, and you probably can't just play 7 players.
Good question. I'm glad you asked that. We have 11 on the roster, and I really think we can play all 11. I'm really happy with 1 through 11. Minutes won't be distributed evenly, obviously, but what 1 through 11 kids on our roster, I'm really, really pleased. And they've earned it, the right to play. And that's what we say, all right? You got to earn your right in practice to get on the floor during games, and they've definitely done that. In certain situations, for sure. You know, some people better offensively, defensively, stuff like that, so we can sell them in and out in certain situations. Obviously, some kids score a little bit better. Matchups are huge for us too. You know, matchups are going to be really, really big for us this year. But play back to back, you know, we haven't had this luxury where I thought we could go this deep. And I'm glad you asked this because it did hurt us in the past, playing back to back in the RMAC. But you know, our kids continue to compete and hold themselves accountable the way they are right now. I fully expect we'll play for sure 10, if not 11, and that's a big advantage for us. There's not a lot of teams that can do that. I haven't been able to do that this year, and to be quite honest with you guys, it's difficult for me right now as far as rotations and getting kids in, because you know, we play about 8. That's pretty easy, all right. But you know, kind of have our starting 5, and then we have backup at every position, and we're even a little bit deeper in the post this year, which I really like. I know I've said this before, but I'm so happy to play 2 posts again. Because last year, you know, we played four guards and lived and died by the arc. But we're able to play 2 posts on the floor at the same time this year, and got some depth there too as well. So really excited about that. And yeah, if our kids keep competing the way they do and hold themselves accountable, you'll see for sure 10, if not 11. That's a big luxury to have. Good question. I'm glad you asked that, because I want to talk about that. Anybody else for me? Nope. Hey, looking forward to men's basketball, and especially the following week. Thank you guys for coming out.
You just had to egg him on, didn't you?
Very disciplined today. It was very strong, focused. Very strong.
Our next coach, men's basketball coach Eric Glenn. Give us a recap. Look forward to this week.
That's a heck of a thing to have to follow right there. For us, preseason has been really good. We're very excited with the group that we've had. One of the biggest things that we come into this preseason for us, looking from last year, is we were looking at our defense. You know, we were finished basically second to last in a lot of the categories defensively. And you're not going to win too many games, and you're not going to finish where you need to finish to make the playoffs if you're there. So we've really been putting a big emphasis on what we need to do. We're not really big on outcome. We're more on process based. We want to do things that are going to get us to that point. So things we've really focused on is contesting more shots along the way, and really protecting the three-point line with shooters. We were dead last in three-point field goal percentage defense last year. And so with that being said, leading into our games, what we've done is really focused on those things, and we played South Dakota State on Thursday. And with them, obviously, they have really good three-point shooters. If you know a guy by the name of Mike Down, you know what I'm talking about. And so he's a tough one to corral out there. And then they got another kid by the name of Skylar Flatt, a South Dakota kid that can really shoot. He's turned himself into a very nice player over his 4 years there. So we knew we had a great challenge there, but we definitely wanted to do a better job defending that three-point line, but at the same time not giving up layups at the rim, because we're going out and rushing shooters as we do that. And we were really pleased with our scrimmage against South Dakota State. They're a very good team. They're picked #1 in the Summit, so it's a great test for us. And they do pose some mismatch problems for us because of being a Division I team and having an All-American potential candidate on their team. But for our guys, we went out and we really did play with the intensity that we talked about we wanted to do. We wanted pressure on the ball. At the same time, we didn't want to give those uncontested shots at the rim. And we ended up taking, I believe, 3 charges in the game. We took 2 on Dom inside. And so our guys really have taken hard, taken a lot of pride in those things, and they're starting to see the benefits of it. The only bad thing about probably our scrimmages is that they are going to prepare us for the season, but not particularly our first game coming out, because we're going to see a team that is totally the opposite of us, and really not really the same as the other teams, because they're very athletic and they really want to pressure us, take us out of rhythm and make us play at a really fast pace. And so for us, we like to be a little bit more disciplined. We like to be a little bit more, not so much delay, but we just want to be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of stumped, but we want to be a little bit more deliberate, thank you, deliberate with it. And so as we go deliberate with it and move the ball and get side top side, we get better passes. And again, going back to South Dakota State, when we played them, we kind of were in a hurry. Even though they don't pressure us that much, we're a little bit in a hurry, too quick to move the ball. And you know, we're only down 5 1/2, and we ended up losing by 19. And as we went back and watched the tape that night and sat down with the team on Friday morning, we started showing them, if you were a little bit more deliberate with the ball, guess what, you would have seen this cutter here. You would have seen this cutter here. And we felt like we left probably close to 20 points in the paint of guys cutting through the lane and getting layups. That would have been uncontested layups for us, but we were too quick to get the ball in our hands and move it on the perimeter. So with that knowledge, we had a scrimmage on Friday against Sioux Falls. And Sioux Falls does pressure us a little bit more. They are a little tighter on their shooters. Still not quite what we're going to see on Thursday against Kingsville, but it was a good thing for our guys that we saw carryover from film in the game the night before, and we started hitting those cutters. And we really played well in the first half against Sioux Falls. They are a team that averaged 81 points a game, and I think we held them to 22 in the first half, which is very, very good, obviously. They have their 2 top scorers back. One of them, I think he hit 1 shot in the entire first half against us. He's a 3-point shooter, and we just did not allow him to get open looks. We contested every one of his shots. So we were really proud of the way that we responded in that respect. And as Coach Larsen was saying, back-to-back games, you know, you've got to be able to bring an energy level and enthusiasm every single day, but it's particularly when you're playing back-to-back games to come back that second day and be able to do that. And we did come back and play very hard, and that was good to see, because pretty much throughout the whole season, other than one time, we're going to be playing back-to-back. And that's something that's a credit to our guys to really step up to that challenge. One thing we also did find out in the Sioux Falls scrimmage, we made a deal with Coach Johnson that we play 5 minutes of zone to start the second half, and we are an awful zone team, both offensive and defensive team. So that's what we're working on, and we're going to get better. We haven't spent a lot of time on it up to that point, so that was we started out down 17-5, but once we both went back to man after that 5 minutes, we actually ended up tying the game at 31. So I really credit our guys that adversity, they're down 17-5, and for us to battle back and not just say, well, coach made a deal, we went zone. Yeah, they actually stepped up and accepted the challenge, and we battled back and tied it, and then they ended up beating us for the half. We fouled, a little silly foul at the end, and they shot 2 free throws and beat us 33-31. But that was really a positive thing to see the reaction out of our guys for that, and I was proud of them for that. Going into this weekend, like I said, Kingsville is going to be a really good test for us. We have played in the last 2 years, but they only returned 4 guys from last year's team. So they're a whole new team for the most part this year. Quite a few transfers from the junior college ranks, 1 4-year transfer. And they do have some freshmen, although I anticipate they got enough upperclassmen. I don't know that we'll see too many of the freshmen on the floor for them. So they're going to have a lot of juniors and seniors. They have scrimmaged once against a junior college and had a double-digit lead against them, and I think they ended up beating them by 9. So they're playing a high tempo and getting our little scout we can right now. We can't really get any film on them. Everybody makes their own deals at this time, so we don't get a lot of film. But just talking to people, they're going to be a team that's going to, just like they normally do, they're going to pressure us. They're going to try to get it up and down a little bit. They're going to try to turn us over. And last year, you know, we only scored 53 points. Defensively, we didn't do bad. We held them to 71, but the problem was we had 26 turnovers. And so it's kind of hard to score up in the 70s when you're turning the ball over 26 times. And that's definitely going to be a goal of ours, is to keep those turnovers down and handle that pressure that they're going to give to us. It'll be the first test for us to see a team like this. But again, you know, you play your preseason to prepare yourself for the start of your season. Like I said, I don't know that the teams that we played in the preseason are 100% best to prepare us like a team like Kingsville, but they will help us prepare for other teams that we play. Kingsville I look at as a team that's going to prepare us to see some teams in our conference that can do the same thing. And it'll really be interesting to see how our guys respond to that kind of pressure. If we can do that and pass, you know, we'll see where the wins and losses come out. We don't really focus on that. Like I said, we really focus on the process. And if we can take care of the things that we feel like we control, then successes will take care of themselves. And I'm really looking forward to really see where that happens. The next night, International, they'll play a little bit of pressure, but they're going to be really more of a team that loves to pound you inside. They're going to have some good bigs inside. They're very good posts. Their coach, I know his pedigree from the coaches that he's come from and guys that he's worked under that are tremendous post coaches. And his guys do. They post up, they duck in extremely hard. And for us right now, with a couple guys being out, we're a little thin in the post, so we're going to have to do some things to help our posts out. But that's okay. We're good enough in those areas to be able to do that. And again, it's going to be a nice challenge for us to see where we're at in a lot of these things that we've been working on. It should be a great weekend. We're really anticipating great performance on our part. We're excited to play somebody else. Last week was good in exhibition, but now it's time to play someone when it counts. And we're ready for that challenge. With that being said, any questions from anybody?
Hey, Eric, I was just looking at the schedule, and I know the state game was the next big game.
Yes.
It's got 31 games listed. Are all of those then count towards your record, or?
They do. These two games that we play this weekend, the NCAA allows you to play what they call a conference challenge. So you can play another conference in your league, 2 games, and that's what we're doing. These teams are from the Lone Star, and then so they count in our region, so we can play them. And that's why we've been playing them the last couple of years. We're allowed 26. Then you add those 2, that takes you to 28. Okay, and then we have also exemption games with Alaska. So there's I think it's 2 years or 4 years. I can't even think off the top of my head. But like every 4 years, you can either go to Alaska or Hawaii. Okay, and, I guess we picked Alaska. So we're going to go to Alaska over Thanksgiving, and that will be a fun trip though. We're going to use it. Try to get a little bit of sightseeing because it is a quick trip. We leave on Thanksgiving Day. We get in, we're going to practice, try to find a place to get a Thanksgiving meal. In the morning, we're going to try to see the sights a little bit and then prepare for our game Friday night. Maybe do another little slight mini tour Saturday morning and then play a last game. So we're playing at Anchorage both nights while we're there. And literally, as soon as the game is over, it's get dressed, grab a burger at the fastest place we can find it, and get on a plane. Because we leave right that night at 11:40 and get back, and we'll come back. I can't remember what time we get in, but it's going to be quick. It's going to be quick. Thank goodness we don't, usually we play the Black Hills game like on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Thank goodness it's on Saturday this year because that would have been a heck of a turnaround for us. So, anything else? Great, thank you. We look forward to seeing you.
How do you guard the NBA lottery pick?
You don't. We gave him 29 points. He's, the funny thing is that on the perimeter we guard him really well. Like I said, we did take 2 charges on him. They run some good stuff. I mean, they get him touches all over. He's got range out to close to 30 feet from the rim. He can drive you. For us, we thought the one tendency he has, he does go to his right an awful lot and not to his left. So we really tried to use that knowledge. But we would love to have doubled him, and he gets so doggone deep in the action that they run on his duck ends. And so anytime in that second half that we got close, we got a good dose of Mike Dom in the middle of the lane. And there's just not a lot you can do when he buries you like that. So, like I said, I don't say that we stopped him. Last year, I think we held him to 24, and for the it was a 26, and I think he was averaging like 28 for half the year. We were really bragging, hey, we held him under his average. 29, I don't know, he's going to have to average 30 for us to brag about that this year. So, but he's a heck of a player, and I think it's neat for our guys, because he's going to be an NBA player, whether he's a lottery pick or not, but he'll be in the NBA, and our guys are going to be able to say that the last 4 years they got to battle with him. So that's kind of cool. All right, thank you very much. See you this weekend.
Ken, he's graduating, right? So Ken can't come next year and muscle him up a little bit in the paint. Well, our next coach here is Coach Johnson. He's going to talk about the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Championships and what do we got coming up here with regionals. Come on up, Steve.
Yeah, so this last weekend we went down to Denver, Colorado for the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. It was at the Stanger Soccer Complex, which is in Arvada. And so you remember the first few meets of the season we ran were really hilly. Well, this one had about as many hills as this room. So for us, that's a little bit of a change of pace because when you're on a hilly course, you tend to be a little more conservative early because you're trying to make sure that you save something for late in the race. in a race like this, you've got to just get out and you've got to set a pace early. What we really tried to do through the course of the race was to make sure that we were building and moving up, because we know the tendency of the teams that we were going to be focused on trying to beat is everybody gets a little bit caught up in the excitement in the crowd, because you show up at the RMAC and the announcer's telling everybody about, oh, well, we've got 5 of the top 25 teams in the nation here. There's like 15 All-Americans in the field. And we're just kind of looking at it and saying, let's just get it going already, come on. So we really just focused on trying to make sure that we got off to a good start, got into a good position. On the men's side, the men ran first. The biggest thing that we were trying to do was to make sure that through the last 2K of the race, they ran an 8K here. So basically the last lap of the race, that we were really trying to move up through the field. And we had one guy in particular that really did a great job throughout the race of working his way up the field, and that was Joel Haas. Joel finished as our number 2. He's been running as our number 4 most of the season, and he finished as our number 2. He was like 92nd or something at the 2K, and he ends up, and even at 6K, I think he was still around 75th or something. He ends up 67th on the day. So he had a fantastic race. Chase Wood, who's a junior for us, actually led the way for us for the first time. Ryan Mullen, there you see Joel right there, by the way. Ryan Mullen and Anders Watt, who are usually our 1-3 guys, struggled a little bit. They just kind of felt heavy, legs were a little dead. So unfortunately, we weren't quite as strong up front as we thought we were going to be. The crazy thing is, we still finished, even with those guys having a little bit of an off day, we still finished with the best finish we've ever had in an RMAC contest. So our men finished 11th. We were looking at the points on the way home, and we should have been 10th. It was one of those. If we had run the way that we were prepared to run, we should have and would have been 10th. So what that does for us on the men's side, that gives us something to shoot for going into the region. When we get to the region here in 2 weeks, we'll be back down in Denver. Different park, still just as flat. It is what it is for us. The nice thing for us is we're kind of getting used to that faster start and having to go out hard. So hopefully that'll pay off as we move into the region meet. But at the region, what it's going to do for us is we've got to come back and we've got to match up better with those guys up front. We've got to have them there, they're hitting on all cylinders. Because if we can do that, there's 32 teams in the region, and like I said, we were 11th at the conference. We could be 11th at the region, or we could go to the region and finish 15th and still be 11th in the conference. Our women did that last year. They were 10th at the conference. They went to the region. They finished 13th. And you look, and there's only 3 teams from the other 2 conferences that even stacked up ahead of us. It's just crazy how deep it is. But so for us, when we get to the region here, what we've got to do is we've got to do a better job through the middle of that race. The nice thing at the region is that people do tend to go out a little bit slower. Adam was actually, for the first time since our first year in the RMAC 5 years ago, for the first time went out hard and really just took it to people. I think they had all 7 scorers in the top 12 spots in the field, which is the first time they've done that in a long time. They have, I'm told by one of their coaches, that they have a superstition that if they win the conference, they're going to lose the national. So I guess we'll know that in a couple weeks. But it really makes a difference when they show up and they race hard, because it really changes the way that game is played. And I thought our guys held up pretty well overall with it. Even going up to altitude, we had, I think we had 3 or 4 of our guys that set 8K PRs, which is always good to see. Some of that is due to the fact that it was a really flat course, but a lot of that is just due to the preparation and the time that those guys have put in. On the women's side, it was a little bit of a rough story for us. We had 6 people entered in the race. One of them unfortunately got sick just before we were supposed to leave, so she wasn't able to come. That put us at 5, and then we had one of our gals who was a little bit dinged up, and things got a lot worse by halfway through the race. So we actually didn't finish a full team at the region or at the conference on the women's side. We will make sure that that doesn't happen at the region, but the girls that did run ran their tails off for us, and I think the one that really stood out there was Laramie Giles. Laramie had a really rough season last year as a freshman. She was running, I think at Griak last year, she was like 28 minutes for her first ever 6K. And granted, Griak's a tough course and it was tough conditions last year because it was 90-something degrees with 90% humidity. But still, that's not what we usually look for. And she came in to Billings 3 weeks ago and she set a 6K PR. En route, she ran the fastest 5K she'd ever run in a cross-country race. And then she turns around and she does the same thing again on Saturday. So she had, I think she took 10 more seconds off of her 10K PR, or excuse me, 5K PR, and I think she said it was 20-something seconds. Think about what that means over the last K. You know, she ran, so she took 10 seconds off at 5K and another 10 seconds in the last K. It's ridiculous. Okay? To make that kind of a pace change is just crazy, but she put everything out there on the line for it, and it really paid off for her. She actually finished as our number 2 this weekend. She'd been running pretty consistently as our number 3, but she just had a fantastic race, and so you know, we're looking forward to seeing what they can get done. Those top 3 are still really solid for us. We've been seeing some growth in the girls that have been in the back half of our group, but should be a good race. The women's race features, both the men's and women's races feature 2 of the top 3 teams in the nation. You've got four women's teams that are ranked. We'll see what they do. That team up the road actually finished 3rd at the RMAC this year. Surprised a lot of people, didn't really surprise me because we've seen them quite a few times and they're just, when they're hitting on all cylinders, they're good. They knocked off the number 9 team in the nation on Saturday, and they weren't even, and those guys weren't even ranked. So we'll see what that does. I'll be curious to see how that affects the rankings. I have a feeling people will try to take it out against the RMAC a little bit because they don't get a lot of opportunities to do that. But we'll see how that plays out. On the women's side, it's going to be a tough race for them. The biggest thing for us is that we've gotten one race with a big field under our belts now. And racing in big fields is always different because when you race in a big field, it's really easy early to make the mistake of going out too hard because you don't feel it. You get that energy from the crowd and everything's just rolling and you just go. And that leads to a lot of trouble late in races as people get strung out. And women's races have a tendency to string out a lot more than guys' races do. To give you an example, Chase finished 51st in the men's race. He was, which is the highest we've ever had a guy finish in an RMAC race too as an individual. If he finished 15 seconds faster, he picks up almost 10 places. If you look at the same spot in the women's race, you finish 15 seconds faster, you might pick up 2 or 3. And that's it. Just because of the way things string out as you move through the field. So really, really makes a big difference when you can do things like that. So we'll see. I'm really excited to see what we can get done as we move forward into the region here. But the bottom line is it's always going to be a challenge. The men's best finish at the region is 15th. The challenge I put out to them yesterday is to beat the best ever finish we've had in the program at the region, which is the women finishing 13th last year. So if we can do that, I think that puts us well on our way on the men's side toward that goal of trying to get to a national meet in the next couple of years. And that really would set the tone for what we're doing as we move forward. We've got a great group of guys that are committed to it, and we just got to keep them moving forward. We gotta get Coach Tink out there before the region and get the juice flowing. Any questions? All right, thank you.
We're running quick on time here, so let's get Coach Tinker up here.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing great. Thanks for coming out to support the men again today. What a incredible day of football on Saturday. I feel like every time I come up here and explain our team, it sounds like excuses, but our team played extremely hard. We just didn't win, and really proud of the way we fought back. It was a weird day of football. The weather had a huge impact on the scoring, and who had the wind really scored all the points during the game, so it was kind of an odd game that way. We battled back, we took the lead, we lost it again, we came back, and save for a few feet, I think we could have had a pretty special day and a victory on Saturday. It didn't go our way, but I don't think it was because our men didn't put everything they had into it. In fact, that's probably my number one concern heading into the Fort Lewis game, is how much energy our men expended on Saturday, how much juice they left out there. That was the quietest locker room I've ever been in, because I don't think that it had dawned on us how hard we had put ourselves out there until it had all come and gone. And so our goal this week is to make sure our energy level gets right, our juice level gets back to where it needs to, so that we can play at our best again on Saturday. Because we used a lot of whatever reserve our football team had left and put it into that football game right up until the final whistle blew, right up until the last foot and a half that decided the football game. So really, that's our focus as we head into this week. I know we have probably some highlights, video style highlights, Bradley, to show from the game. Brad Bloom, our sports information director, sort of sharing some of the things that happened in the Shadron State South Dakota Mines game. Obviously, we started really slow. They were smart. They deferred. This is Jake finding Anthony Ulrich right here on a touchdown pass over the top. And even that ball, Jake threw that one pretty far. Jake has a very good arm. He can throw it 40, 50, 60 yards in the air. And even that one got caught up in the breeze a little bit. This is a beautiful, Jake actually drew this play up right before we ran it. This was the first play of the second quarter, and it was good. It worked good. And then Connor was able to punch it in. Unfortunately, Connor was not able to finish the game and likely won't be able to play this weekend, but had an incredible season and really played great. Number 41, Cole Peterson, he was our defensive player of the week for the rookies. He's a freshman out of Boulder, Colorado. That was his first interception, and he got picked on pretty good in the Colorado Mines game by a really good team, and he came back and had his best game. Here's the block punt. Chandler Kaleo takes it into the end zone, another true freshman from Colorado who took it into the end zone there. That was a huge momentum play that got us some mojo going into the second half. This is Jake threading the needle to Colin Zerr. Unfortunately, you don't get to see that pass from all the angles, but that ball was thrown through a keyhole right there for the touchdown pass. And this is Jake to Joe Lubers. This one didn't need to be. This was well designed, and they did a nice job collecting it. Joe's had a great year. This is the fumble caused by Edensky Lormius. Big play. We needed a turnover. We got a couple big turnovers. It created some momentum, and it helped us jump out in that third quarter. We took the win in the third quarter, and it had a huge impact and really jumped in front. This is NSF's big field goal. This is the second time we got to kick it. Thank you to the opportunity that the officials gave us to kick it twice, and he made it twice. This is this play's worked before, it'll work again. This is Isaiah Manley on the reception on a beautifully thrown ball from Jake down the sideline. If Isaiah were to be honest with himself, he said he should have probably kept his feet and scored on that one, which is probably true. And this Joe Lubers again from Jake on kind of very similar play to the one he scored on the first time. So a couple of things that you're seeing there in terms of that was the last time we were able to punch it into the end zone. We got another field goal later, but we're unable to score the final touchdown to win it. The players of the game, I don't know if I sent those to you now or not, Bradley. Oh, they're right on here. Lovely. Let's get to it. Hunter Jaskey's our service player of the week from Anthem, Arizona, defensive lineman. Really good young player. He's got a real chance. We've had a 4-year starter at center. His name is Robert Schrock. He's a team captain and one of the best players we've had here. This guy, Brock Langren, is his backup. He redshirted this year. He's from Littleton, Colorado, and I anticipate that he will have the same kind of impact in our program that Robert has. Brock is already one of the strongest young men in our program. He's without a neck, but he does have arms and hands, and that's necessary. Okay. Cole Peterson, I mentioned, the LPD Rookie of the Week from Boulder, Colorado. A tremendous season that he's had as a true freshman. He's only going to get better. A fine player, an outstanding student, and a damn handsome man. Chandler Kaleo, our SWAT Player of the Week. You saw him have the touchdown. He's also from Littleton, Colorado. He's only getting better. He's playing more and more every week. The Rookie of the Week on offense for High Octane, Zach Hoopman, our running back out of Douglas, Wyoming. Hoop has played a lot more football these last few weeks than we had anticipated at the start of the season. But with some of the health issues we've had at running back, he's really stepped up and done a nice job. Our Defensive Player of the Week, Justin Brokemeyer out of Elk Point, South Dakota. He's one of our stronger players, and it's really helped him be really strong at the end of the season. Our High Octane Offensive Player of the Week was Joe Lubers, who had a couple touchdown receptions, had a great game. And then our Pickaxe Player of the Week was Martin Wilson out of Belglades, Florida. A really strong performance. He has not really been healthy for most of the season, which is a story for a couple of our guys, and he's had a great year. A couple notes real quick. Jake Sullivan is here today to visit with you guys briefly, and I want him to have that time to do it. So if there are difficult questions that need to be asked, you can ask them of me, and if there are nice questions, you can ask them of Jake. I believe I owe him that much. So anybody with any tough questions that they need to ask of the head football coach.
What's the prognosis for you running back? You got these done? ACL or?
No, we hope not. Just buddy, we have to play. Yeah.
How do you coach up your young men to last over some question calls?
That's a question they're crappy.
That's a tough question.
Yeah, tough question. You're asking kind of just, overcoming some of the things with, you talked about kind of, officiating questions or what have you. And I got to do a better job. I get upset at times too. I have to get to the next play a little bit faster. We don't quite have it is what it is. My guidance to them, be ahead by enough that it doesn't matter. Leave no doubt, and when we've done that, we played Black Hills. You could have put 7 linemen out there to officiate. It wouldn't matter. We were gonna win that football game. If we play like that, we don't have to worry about anybody else being on the field other than us. And so that's the message. Okay. All right. This is kind of exciting. We've had some. It's interesting. It's pretty rare that you'll have, you'll be in the Hall of Fame room and you get to hear from who is indubitably a future Hall of Famer. He took time out of his exceptionally busy class schedule to be with us here today on a Tuesday. Jake Sullivan will have set the records in every significant category offensively at this institution. The most passes completed in a season, the most passes completed in a career. Most yards in a game, I've never had someone throw for 592. The old record was 481. Most passing yards in a season, he's already eclipsed that by 300 yards. Most passing yards in a career, he's eclipsed by 2,000 yards. Most TD passes in a season, 28. The old record was 24. This one's interesting. The most career touchdown passes prior to Jake's arrival was 45 by Nick Wald, who's a great quarterback. Jake is now at 71 career total passes for touchdowns. The most points in a career. He's second nationally in passing yardage in the country, fourth in passing touchdowns, third nationally in points accounted for. That includes his rushing touchdowns, and second in the country in total offense. What I would say about Jake that's impressive to me is he's also one of the quarterbacks who's been in this league now. Everyone in this league has scouted Jake. Everyone knows who number 7 is. There's no mystery. And he's actually had his best season. That's rare. Usually once guys get on tape, they get figured out. And if you see it, if you watch the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, the NFL figured him out. Once he got on tape, they got that thing figured out. That's how quarterbacking usually works. It's pretty rare that you're the best you can be at the very end of your career once people know who you are. I give him credit for adapting and overcoming my play calling for 3 years. It's been pretty remarkable. Your quarterback for the last week, Jacob Sullivan.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
I don't really know how to start this. Yeah, as Coach Dinger said, this is going to be my last week. Doesn't really feel that way. I feel like I should be getting ready for winter conditioning now and get my mentality right for that. kind of a surreal feeling. It's a good feeling because if I didn't feel sad about it, probably means it wasn't a good experience. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, and it hasn't really hit me yet, but I think it will when that clock hits zero on Saturday. So yeah, any questions? Yeah.
Tell us about your future beyond next week, what your plans are.
Beyond this next week, I haven't really thought about it much. My big plan was to sit down with my family after the game and kind of look at options. I do have an opportunity to go play in Europe after the season, and then some, job opportunities as well. So, kind of seeing what works best for me and my family. Kind of go from there. I have 4 younger siblings, so it's really important to me. So yeah, I haven't really decided yet.
So did you draw that play up, that coach, did you tell him what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of gave me a little more credit than that deserved. I said, let's throw it to Manly deep. He wasn't open, so I found someone else who was open. So that's kind of how that went. But yeah, usually throwing to Manly deep is a good play. So.
Jake, I've really been impressed by Joe Luber. Can you comment on him?
Yeah, gosh, Joe Luber's last fall, true freshman, redshirted. I didn't get a lot of time with him because he was on the scout offense. And then spring ball, he played outside before this season. And he was one of those bigger guys, kind of throw it up to him. Didn't really have much else to his game at that point because he was a true freshman. And then coming to fall camp, totally different person, body build, mentality. We were kind of missing the portion that we were good at last year with the inside receiver. We didn't really know where we were going to be at there. We knew we had 5 good outside receivers, and Carson, Ian, Colin, Isaiah, and then Joe. So we kind of, well, not me, obviously coaches put Joe inside one day, and then it seemed supernatural for him. And that's the player who's gotten better every single week. And you saw it Saturday. He should have 3 touchdowns. We joked about that, getting tackled at the 1-yard line. But no, he's come a long way from last year. And I wanted to speak actually not only on him, but Anthony Ulrich, he's a redshirt freshman. I doubt anyone knew his name before the last couple weeks. But that was the type of kid who would ask me to stay after every practice and throw more. He was the one who keep telling me that, hey, I'll be ready when you need me. And then as you've seen, he has been. So really great. I think we're in really great hands offensively when I leave, because I don't know if you realize, Colin, Zer, Carson, Ian, all these guys are sophomores and juniors, and then we have Joe and Anthony who are freshmen. We have a lot of, we lose Robert, which is going to be tough on the O-line, but we have a lot of great O-linemen coming back. Like Coach said, Brock Lindgren is a great player himself. Yeah, we're going to be special for the next couple of years, and it's cool to be a part of that. Seeing guys come up and, do better than their expectations when they had to be in the season. So.
Jake, the one thing that I've noticed watching over the last several years, I think this offensive line that you have right now might be the best I've ever seen at Tech. I've been around a long time, seen some awful good players, but the relationship you guys must have must be pretty special.
Yeah, 100%. Coach O'Neill does a great job. We brought in 2, true freshmen, our 2 guards, ginormous human beings, and they're good football players too. They don't just take up space. They know, they have a good mind for it. They have high football IQ, and they're huge, so they move people. They're going to be probably one of the 2 better O-linemen that come through here. And then people don't realize we have Jack Batho, left tackle, who has been kind of banged up, through his career, but he's another tremendous player. And then obviously Robert Schrock, who is, the heart and soul of the team, not just the offensive line. And then Harris Irwin, who plays right tackle. He was actually a D lineman who converted over to O-line. He has been spectacular. There's a lot of times, a lot of balls you see that I throw. I don't see much of a hurry because I'm usually not, because there's a lot of time back there with those guys. I trust them, they trust me. And yeah, it's a pretty special group, and it's going to be really special in the next couple of years as well. Yeah.
So what's your major field study?
I'm doing industrial engineering, engineering management. I don't know what I want to do yet for jobs. I have a couple interviews, like I talked about, and then football. So I guess I'm weighing my options and kind of see what's best for me. I'm still still kind of young. I might be the oldest on the team, I think. But I'm still young at heart. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
If you could maybe sum up your football experience and your academic experience in a couple sentences here, what would it be?
A couple sentences. I would say 2 words. I'd say it's worth it. You know, it's worth the grind. It's worth every late night staying up, every 6 a.m. practice. For me, I was raised in a hardworking household where stuff's not going to be given to you. You got to go work for it, and that's the mantra of the school. You know, you got to put the work in, or else you're not going to make it. And that's cool for me. The seniors, those are the guys who put the work in, who work their butts off. Not only in the classroom, the weight room, on the football field, all these different places, but you can see it just coming together at the end. I think that's really special. And then just the family environment. You know, all these people here, I think it's so special that you guys come. You're there every Saturday. I might not know you by name, but I appreciate everything you guys have done for me personally, and then the team. I just feel like I transferred here. I didn't really know what I was going to get myself into. But then, the first day meeting with Coach Ting, at the time it was Coach Collins too. I just knew I was in good hands. It felt like I was back in high school with my father as the coach. That's kind of the same environment that I felt. I know it's really a few sentences, but that's all right. That's all right. Coach?
If you could, knowing what you know now, if you could just as a football player, what would you tell the football player you were 4 years ago? What's the thing you said, hey, Jake, think this is where you need to get, what advice would you give your football self?
I would tell myself to slide a lot more. I was reckless with football my first couple of years. I thought my overall athleticism would be able to carry me through a lot of stuff. And that didn't work out too well for me. But truthfully, all joking aside, if I were to tell him, go back to my freshman self, first of all, I'd tell him to go to school mines first. I wouldn't tell him to go anywhere else. And then, gosh, it's tough. Just kind of what I tell myself now is just work hard. You have to outwork people. And then don't be okay with just working hard. Don't be okay with just being the starting quarterback. All that stuff. Want more. That's kind of where I would be, or I want to tell myself and actually do it. I feel like I tell myself that a lot, but I don't commit to it a lot until this year. So that's kind of what I would say.
I've seen you out at Red Rock a few times, and you stick around Brad Bloom and I are always looking for a third. Play with us 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah, for sure.
Used to be a pretty athletic driver.
I can get it there, but I can't do it.
Well, we'll work on that.
I'm not trying to help you with that.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Well, again, thank you. I really appreciate my time here, and looking forward to Saturday.
Okay, I know we're just past a little bit. I appreciate everybody's patience. Anyone have any questions of me? No, that's okay. That's a good thing. Once again, thank you for our sponsor, Lynch Brothers Pizza, and thank you for all that you do to support Hardrocker Athletics. Next Tuesday, we'll be here again, and we'll start at noon. We'll have Poncheros. Jake being up here is something that I've kind of thought about a lot, and I've been sending out to emails to our alums. Your time at South Dakota School of Mines is temporary, but the Hard Rock life is forever. And hopefully we can instill that in our alumni moving forward, that mindset. And I appreciate our young men and women and what they do. I'll reiterate again, the average Division II athlete puts in 85 hours a week. Everything that they do deserves our support as an institution, as alumni and boosters. Thank you very much. It's a great day to be a Hardrocker.